Go.
Hi guys, it's Jack Kyler here, and I'm here with my buddy, the only medic in Pollo Diablo, on the camera. Right now we're doing pretty much a deck profile on the new structure deck, Machine Reactor, which is pretty much about ancient gear monsters and ancient gear supports. And I'm gonna get right into it. So at first we have our ancient gear gadget, which is attack is at 500 and 2000 defense. It's a good card to run if you want to stall your opponent. And pretty much during your standby phase, you could declare one monster or declare a type of gear gadget. So pretty much you become a red, yellow, or green. And pretty much that's gonna be helpful later on if you want to tribute him to summon like our next card. And our next card is gonna be Ancient Gear Reactor Dragon. Now this one's a good beat stick. It comes in at an attack of 3000 and a defense of 3000, so it's a good card to run. Basically you have to tribute summon him, and you tribute any monster with ancient gear in its name. You pretty much are able to inflict battle piercing damage if you attack a defense position monster with this card. And also he also gains an effect if you also tribute a gear monster, and therefore he can attack twice. And also, as most ancient gear monsters, as most people know, when they attack, you cannot activate spells or trap cards until the end of the damage step. I'm gonna go into our third card, Ancient Gear Hydra. At the end of the damage step, if this card was tribute summoned by tributing an ancient gear monster, and if it battles an opponent's monster and that opponent's monster doesn't get destroyed, basically you can banish that monster. Now also, if you use a gadget monster as a tribute for this card, he can attack all your opponent's monsters at once. And it's also not a bad attack. It's at 2700. And basically, if an ancient gear monster you control attacks your opponent, cannot activate spell or trap cards until the end of the battle damage step. Therefore, most likely with all the other ancient gear monsters, you can't activate spells or trap cards until the end of the damage step. That's for your opponents. Our fourth card is our Ancient Gear Wyvern, which pretty much, if you normal summon this card, you can add one Ancient Gear card from your deck to your hand. Now it doesn't specifically say to add a monster, therefore it also plays in your favor, to where you could get a spell card or a trap card that has Ancient Gear in its names. Also, what's a downside to its effect is you cannot set any cards after this for the rest of this turn. And you can only use its effect once. And its last effect is your opponent monsters cannot activate their effects until the end of the damage step. Therefore, it also brings back up its effect due to the fact that you can't set monsters. Alright, now our last ultra rare and also one of our pretty much best cards in this deck would have to be our Ancient Gear Catapult. It's our ultra rare spell card. Pretty much allows you, if you do not control a monster, you can target one face-up card you control, which would probably be a spell card. You can destroy it and then special summon one Ancient Gear monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. Now once this card goes to your graveyard, you can banish this card and then target one face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, you get to special summon one Ancient Gear token. And as strong as this effect is, you can only use Ancient Gear Catapult once per turn. Alright, now that was it for our main cards. We're going to go for the rest of the cards in this deck. We're going to come up with Ancient Gear Gadgetron Dragon, who pretty much is a 3000 attack, 2000 defense, good B stick. Pretty much with this one, you're going to want to use one or two gear gadget monsters as tribute, as each of them gives it its own effect. And also, like most, if you attack with this monster, it cannot activate spells or trap cards during the end of the damage step. And here we come to our boss monster that's from the Millennium Pack, our Ancient Gear Golem. It comes at an attack of 3000 and defense of 3000. Pretty good. It only has two effects, or three per se. Cannot be special summoned, and if it attacks the defense position monster, it does inflict battle piercing damage. Now it also has another effect which I personally like the best, since it has a 3000 attack. If you attack a monster, your opponent cannot activate spells or trap cards till the end of the damage step. Now that's pretty good, because let's say, I'll get more into that. Now here we have some lesser known Ancient Gear monsters. We have our Ancient Gear Gadgetron Chimera. Also, I want to say it's a 6-star. Has a nice attack, but not really good effects. Pretty much they have the same effects as Ancient Gear Gadgetron Dragon. But yeah, it's a pretty good card, pretty good. But I love the art on these cards. That's what gets me most. Alright, now we're going to come to our Ancient Gear Beast, another Ancient Gear monster. Has a nice attack and defense. Has the same effects as Ancient Gear Golem, so there's not much more to talk about it, except it's 2 for a 6-star, so it only requires 1 tribute. Now here comes our lesser known Ancient Gear monsters, which pretty much are the ones that not really much to talk about though, but pretty much since this is an Ancient Gear based deck, you want to include some of these cards. So here we have our Ancient Gear Engineer. We have our Ancient Gear Knight, which is also a Gemini, so therefore it still is a normal monster until you make it an effect monster. And the effect is, if this card attacks your opponent cannot activate any spells or trap cards until the end of the damage step, which is like most Ancient Gear monsters. And here we come to one of the first Ancient Gear monsters, our Ancient Gear Soldier. Pretty much it has the same effect, except it does not inflict battle piercing damage. Your opponent cannot activate any spells or trap cards until the end of the damage step. But it's still a pretty good card, pretty good for a 4-star. And also we have 2 Ancient Gear boxes, which are not that really good, but they're pretty much just to like add in for a stall card. But they have a good defense, so there's not that much about it though. Alright, we're gonna get on to our other cards. Here we have Gear Gyalger. Did I say that right, Boyle?
Gear guy, I don't know. Gear, you had it earlier.
Alright, pretty
Much
much it allows you to add 1 level 4 Earth Machine type monster from my deck to my hand. So pretty much this is a good card if you run an Ancient Gear deck. But to me personally, I think it just takes up space for other cards that you could use. But all in all, it's a good for a 4-star and it has a good effect. Right now we have Planet Pathfinder. Pretty much you want to use this to get out your field spell card. But to me, I mean, like I said, this is like a clutter to me. So, and plus what sucks is if this is your only monster on the field and you want to use his effect, you have to tribute him to get the effect, to activate the effect. So for me personally, I don't like the effect, or I don't like the card itself. Minefield Driller is also a card that allows you to bring out your field cards. To me, it's an okay card, but to some, it's like eh. But it's a good for a 4-star, so I'm not gonna really complain too much about it. And it has a nice attack and defense, so it's good for a 4-star. Here we have our 2 card troopers, which to me should not really be in this deck due to the fact that its effects are not really well for this deck, since you have to send cards from your deck to the graveyard. So therefore you're kind of missing your chances of maybe drawing one of your powerful monsters and just using this card as a tribute. But it also has an effect to where it gains 500 attack for each card sent to the graveyard, so that's pretty much a 1500 plus if you send all 3 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, so it becomes a 1900 monster. But like I said, it's not a card I would run. And here we have Gigantus. It's a good card for a 4-star, has a nice attack, and that's pretty much what I could really all say about it. But I wouldn't run it in this deck, but I mean, it still looks good. I love the art about it. It looks pretty nice. I like the background of how it looks all cosmos and all that, you know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, it looks like a burning inferno.
Yeah. And here we have Boxer Warrior. Pretty much same thing. Has a nice attack and defense. Not much else to say about this card. We have Hardened Armed Dragon. Its effects is pretty nice, but it's a card I want to recommend running in these type of decks. If you're gonna run like a dragon deck, then I would recommend running this in there. Alright, here we're coming to our last two monsters. Here we have Spell Strike. It pretty much, you can special this card from your hand by banishing one spell card from your graveyard. This card also can attack your opponent directly, and you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. It has a nice effect, but it's a 600 monster, so it's not a card I would recommend. And here we have this $20 card, Max C, but I don't know if it's still a $20 card with the reprint. But that's pretty much all I can really say about this card. Still a good card, it has a nice effect. And let's get on to our spells and trap cards. Here we have Ancient Gear Fortress, which is a continuous spell card. And during the turn they were normal or special summon, your opponent cannot target Ancient Gear monsters you control with card effects. This is pretty good as a stall card, that way you can keep your Ancient Gear monsters, that way you can tribute them. And that's pretty much all I can say about this one. Also, if this card is destroyed in the spell and trap card zone, yeah, I can special summon one Ancient Gear monsters, ignoring its summoning conditions from your hand or the graveyard. Here we have our another must card, Ancient Gear Castle. Pretty much it gives all Ancient Gear monsters 300 attack each time a monster is normal summoned. And it's also a continuous card. And each time a monster is set or summoned, I place one counter on this card. And if I were to tribute summon another Ancient Gear card, a monster, I could just send this card to a graveyard with the right amount of counters, and I could summon that card without having to tribute any monsters. Another card that's an okay card to run is Ancient Gear Workshop. I could pretty much target one Ancient Gear monster from my graveyard, then add it to my hand. So it's kind of good if you have that boss monster in your graveyard and you kind of want it back on the field. Now we're coming to one of our field spell cards, which is a must to me, is Gear Town. Pretty much both players can normal summon Ancient Gear monsters for one less tribute. Now to me that's an amazing effect, due to the fact, like, let's say you have like two level 6s or level 5 monsters, they pretty much become a level 4 if they're a level 5 monster, and pretty much you could just normal summon them. Now this is also great if you run a level 7 or higher monster, due to the fact that they take less tributes. Another good effect about this card is the fact that when it leaves the field, you can special summon one Ancient Gear monster from hand, deck, or graveyard. To me, I would recommend running at least 2 or 3. And here we go to our second one, which is Mausoleum of the Emperor. To me, it's more of a tribute, but to me it's not worth it, due to the fact that you have to pay life points times the number of monsters that are needed to tribute. So therefore, if you need 2 tribute monsters, you could pretty much lose 2,000 life points right there. But to me, it's an okay card. Next we have Pseudo Space. Pretty much I could banish one field spell card from my graveyard until the end of its phase, and this card becomes that name. So therefore it becomes any other field spell card I could think of. Well, not think of, but the one that got banished. And next we have another must card for a machine deck, is Limited Removal. Pretty much it's a quick spell, so it pretty much allows me to double the attack of all machine type monsters currently I control until the end of the turn. Though the downside to this card is the fact that it gets all my monsters that are machine get destroyed at the end of the turn. So it's like a win-lose situation. Therefore, you want to make sure that you use this card when it counts. But to me, it's a nice card. Next, we have Machine Duplication. Pretty much is another card that is a must. You pretty much target one machine type monster you control with 500 or less attack. Special summon up to 2 monsters from your deck with the same name as that monster. So pretty much it allows you to bring out that Ancient Gear gadget monster that we first saw in the beginning. So that's actually pretty nice. Here we have another quick spell, Infernal Reckless. I'm not going to talk too more about this one because I personally don't know that much more about it. But it just seems like a nice card. I actually like the art on it. But yeah, it's a quick spell, and it's Infernal Reckless summon. So there we go. Next we have Galaxy Cyclone. Again, another card I am not really familiar with, but though the art is nice and pretty much it seems like it's another kind like MST, but it's a good card, but I might not run it. Another must card is Terraforming, which allows you to get your spell card into your hand. And pretty much that's pretty good if you're running this Ancient Gear deck. Alright, now we're getting into our traps. We have Jar of Avarice, which most people would know its effects. So I'm not going to get much into that one.
Jar of Avarice.
Jar of Avarice.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Alright.
Alright, we have Mischief of Gnomes. Most people are not really familiar with this card, and neither am I, but it seems like a nice card. This card reduces the levels of all monsters in each player's hands by 1. So it is pretty much a good card, but you can banish this card from the graveyard this turn, reduce the levels of all monsters in each player's hand by 1, even after they are summoned or set. That's another good effect. We have Machine King 3000 BC. Not gonna get too much into that one. We have Fiendish Chain, which is a good if your opponent runs a lot of effect monsters. It basically stops their effects, and they can't attack or change positions. And when this card is destroyed, when that monster is destroyed, you destroy this card. Another good card is Call of the Haunted. Pretty much it's like a nerfed version of Monster Reborn. It's a continuous trap, and it allows you to bring back one monster or pretty much special summon it. But once that monster is gone or this card's gone, you have to destroy the monster or destroy this card. And here we come to our last one. It's a counter. It's called Huge Revolution is Over. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated that would destroy 2 or more cards on the field, negate the activation, and if you do, banish it. So this is actually a pretty good card to run in this deck, though it helps you stop most of your monsters from getting destroyed. And last but not least, we come to our great token. It's an Ancient Gear token, and it's not really a monster per se, but its art is pretty nice. And that is pretty much all of the cards I have to talk about in our Machine Reactor structure deck. But again, that was me, Jack Kyler, Boyle Diablo, and the Only Medic. So later, guys.